All right, Jay. So when I was in college, one of our Christian leadership classes, we had a...
You had Christian leadership?
Yeah, it's called Christian Leadership Center.
That's why you're so daggum good.
Yes.
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
CLC. They're the reason I am who I am, pretty much.
That's very cool. You're not kidding.
No, yeah, it was a major influence.
Nice.
They set me up with internships, taught me how to exegete the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah, they were my first real look at what seminary would be like.
Yeah. CLC.
CLC is at Centenary College. It was super fantastic. Every week we'd get together, and there was always a different emphasis every year. And one of them, our Thursday night sessions, we were together, and it was one of those where you stick everybody in the middle of the room, and then you say, if you prefer chocolate ice cream, you go to that side. If you prefer vanilla, you go to that side. And then the questions, they got harder and harder, And I remember distinctly, one of the questions was, would you rather live in the time of the early church, or would you rather live now? And I ran over to the now. Yeah. And some of my classmates, I feel like I remember a lot of them going over to the early church side and me being like, why?
Why? There's no electricity.
No, yeah. Not to mention
no flexible potties.
Martyrdom.
There's that.
It's a pretty major where my brain went.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a hard distinction, huh?
It is, but I was very sure of myself then that I had made the right choice.
You were in the minority, the church right now.
Yeah, so I asked and this was, I think, the major point, was we then asked, why did you go to that side? And one of the people on the other side said something along the lines of, well, they were all together then and there was no conflict.
Oh.
And I said, that's not how I remember.
It's not what Acts
Peter, Paul,
right.
so many stories of acts of conflict and of different decisions and preachers and right preachers, wrong preachers.
Yeah, false teachings go throughout the epistle. Sure.
Yes.
That's a great point.
So
yeah, I agree. You have converted me.
Okay.
Because I was thinking immediately nostalgia. I was like, oh, well, I'd go back in time. But no, I think
close to the time of Jesus.
Yeah, I think
sounds romantic. But the writer of Hebrews challenged me and made me feel a little bit more in the middle this time. Because in a way, which maybe was Priscilla, the author says although it was really hard, there was so much good. Because there was this sense of identity, there was this sense of urgency that Jesus is coming again. We need to do all that we can while we're waiting, and also we need to be in this all together. So even though it's really, really hard, we can be joyful because Jesus is coming soon.
See, I like this, and I think I'm reminded every communion we get to celebrate together with our Reign family. We say the words of our faith. Christ has died, Christ is risen. Now, if we held right there, because this we trust, then we say Christ will come again. Well, dear sister, that's a long time ago that Christ has died, Christ has risen, and in the meantime, and his advent sort of dictates and helps us reach back into the meantime while we wait. Your word, I love it, urgency. Keep awake, be alert, wake up. So if we were method actors, right? Like, just name a good actor. Like, my motivation. What's my motivation? For you, urgency. How do you keep a sense of urgency that Christ is still returning?
I think that's the challenge of Advent. A lot of times we focus on remembering that the Christ child came because it does help bridge the time, the meantime, as you said. But also it's a reminder that the incarnation, the things in which God is in flesh, and that when Jesus went back to be with God, that didn't mean that there was no more God here, there was no more Christ here, but that we are now incarnate. We are God's body. We're God's hands and feet out into the world. That Christ gave that to us, that in the meantime that we can see Jesus' presence all over, because we are that presence
Yeah.
in a way, and that presence is in all kinds of people and places and things. But then there's also the real challenge that we do believe that Jesus will come again. What that looks like or when it will be, we have no idea.
Yeah, we don't know. It is the metaphor of the body. The church is the body that we see throughout the New Testament, especially the epistles.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate, and I think you alluded to it, that there are those people who might not be in the church or Christian, yet still emanate and demonstrate Jesus.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that speaks more to the power of the Spirit than it does our own personal abilities. Because any way that we express the great qualities and gifts of God are not of our own abilities or doing, but by the grace of God.
You're here. Amen.
Amen. Let's go.